To get to XLRI, to check out the complete video, we're going to look at the best sectional strategy to attempt XAT 2026. You can see my experience out here, the XAT and the CAT performance. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel also so that you don't miss out such important videos. So let's first look the agenda of the session out here. So I just compiled some frequently asked questions for the XAT paper. The first, if I look, what is the best section-wise and overall strategy? So you'll get to know about this if you check the entire video. How much time to be given section-wise? So that's important. Which section to start with? So I'll advise that also. What is the buffer time concept? So that is also very important for the XAT paper. How many attempts section-wise and overall you should look forward? What are the safe scores section-wise and overall to clear the cutoff? Everything would be answered in this video. You need to check the video till the end. What is Tukka strategy? So that is important in the VRC and the DM section. So if you get stuck with 2 or 3 options, what you should do. So do check out the complete video. Which questions sets to focus on section-wise to score more? If you are weak in QA, what you should do to clear the Quant and DI sectional cutoff? Do check out the complete video. We have XLRI 2025 cutoffs also, XLRI 2025 score versus percentile. And this also is a frequently asked question, is GK score important? So everything I'm going to answer in this video. Do join the CAT QA information group for free material, latest updates and the motivational stuff. Do join the CAT QA Telegram discussion group so that you can post your queries out there. We would love to guide you, help you. And we can look forward to discuss your doubts also. So do join the both the groups. So now let's look at first the structure of the XAT 2026. So there are 2 parts. Part 1, if you look over here, decision-making ability you have, verbal and logical ability you have, DI and Quant you have. So the order in which you should look forward to attempt, I have mentioned out here. So first you can look forward for the decision-making ability section. Second is the verbal and logical ability. And the third is DI and Quant. Reason I have kept DI and Quant at the last is that, see, remember that you have to clear the sectional cutoff for sure to get a call from XLRI. And a lot of students don't focus on the sectional cutoff for the sections like decision-making, verbal and logical ability. They try to spend maximum time with the DI and Quant because, of course, that is a scoring area if I look in the XAT paper. But you have to keep in mind that sectional cutoffs are important. So I just kept this at the last so that if you bound to extend your time also, as suggested over here, I'll talk about the sectional time you should look forward to give to each of the sections. In that case also, you have already given sufficient time to decision-making ability, sufficient time to verbal and logical ability. So if you stretch also in the DI Quant, we are not worried about the sectional cutoff. But if you start with the DI and Quant at the beginning, there is a highly likely chance, because you had 28 questions out here, that you may try to spend a lot of time out here and you may miss out the sufficient time which you have to give to the other sections, and that may lead to not clearing the sectional cutoff. So I don't want anyone to do that. So this should be the order from my side I have suggested. You know the pattern: 21 questions in the decision making, 26 in the verbal logical ability, 28 in the DI Quant, 75 overall. Every question is a 1 mark. So you have the same number over here: 21, 26, 28 and 75. Now remember that negative marking is 0.25 for every wrong answer. And we'll understand that how the unattempted negative marking also happened beyond 8 questions. So you have 0.1 over here would be directed, right? So you'll understand in a while. Do check out the complete video. Now, what I'm suggesting over here, the decision-making ability, you can look forward to either spend 45 minutes or maybe 50 minutes, not beyond 50 minutes in any case. So good attempts I've mentioned out here is 19 to 21. So we'll talk about section-wise strategy in detail in the video also. So do check out the video till the end. So how to attempt the decision making. So generally good attempts would be in this range. Some of the students even look forward to attempt all 21 questions. Now, this safe score for the DM, if I look over, is based on the XAT 2025. So 10 score was on the safe side. Now, remember one thing, that the attempts may be on the lower side also, as suggested over here, or maybe it could be on the higher side, depending on the difficulty paper of the XAT also. So don't go with the fixed notion that this much attempts you definitely have to do. That is the suggestion from our side. Decision making, of course, will say that the questions are generally doable. So you can even attempt all 21. But in the verbal logical ability, if the good attempts I've mentioned out here is 18 to 20, it may go on the lower side if the paper is difficult. Even DI con can also go on the lower side. Even some of the students who are really good in the con, they even push beyond 17 attempts out here. So this is based on the XAT 2025, which I'm looking as good attempts out here. So 15 to 17 in the DI QA, 50 to 58 range if I look over here in the overall. And the safe score for the verbal logical ability based on XAT 2025, 10 again I'm putting over here. DI and Cont 8, and safe score overall 33. So this can go above, this can be on the lower side also. That has happened in the past XAT papers. So make sure that you judge based on the difficulty level of the XAT paper also. Now the suggested time for verbal and logical ability is either you try to finish in 50 minutes or maybe at max 55. So if I look, this 50 is a maximum time you should look forward to give to decision making ability. 55 is again the maximum if I look over here. DI count, I would suggest spend 55 minutes so that you can clear the cutoff, and some of the students can look forward to score also through this section of DI and con. Now, let me tell you how the negative marking would be directed and what is the concept of buffer time. So first, let's cover up the buffer time concept. So whatever strategy you apply in terms of the duration section wise, either you're going to be left with 10 minutes or maybe 15 minutes or maybe 20 minutes. Now, how this buffer time would be utilized so that you can maximize your overall score. So you need to check out the complete video. Towards the end, I have mentioned about the buffer time, how to be utilized, and you should definitely keep the buffer time. So if you look over here, how this unattempted negative would be directed. So let's say if you attempted 50 questions in total out of 75, that's one example I picked up. So if you look over here, how many unattempted if I see, that would be 25. So there is no penalty for 8 questions out here. So unattempted over here, 17 would be left out. So this 17 would be penalized. And what is the marking scheme for that negative? If I do, 1.7 would be deducted, right? So this 1.7 would be deducted from, of course, the overall score. And how it is done section wise, that is very, very important to understand. So do have a look over here. So what we are going to look at, if I go with the decision making, the marks deducted from this section would be, see, the deduction happens section wise in proportion to the, you can say the number of questions you have section wise as compared to the total, or you can say marks wise also. Both would mean the same because every question is going to fetch you 1 mark, right? So 1.7 into 21 by 75 would be done for the decision making. If I talk about the verbal and the logical ability, 1.7 into, if I see 26 by 75, and if I look for the DI and the QA, it would be 1.7 into 28 by 75. So this is the way the marks would be rated section wise, and overall, of course, 1.7 would be rated if you have just attended 50 questions out here. So that is one example I picked up. So I hope I'm making sense about the XAT negative marking out here. Now remember one thing in the part 2, what you have is, now the question I asked you in the beginning also, is the GK score important or not? So do check out the complete video. Towards the end, I've talked about it. So let's look at the duration of the part 2 we have is what? 10 minutes. And the general knowledge, there are 20 questions out there. No negative marking for general awareness question, which means you have to attempt all 20 questions. So that has to be there. And one advice I would give in the GK also, that you can look forward for intelligent flukes also. See, let's say if I pick up an example, you have some Indian personalities and some awards have been given, right? So one of the example I took for the GK question, and let's say for a particular Indian personality, you know the award. So you have the information for one of the personality, but you're not sure of the other personalities and what awards they have got. So always make sure that you look at the options. So it may be possible that the options are not that difficult, and based on one data which you know about the personality and the award, it may be very much possible that you can eliminate some choices out there. And if you're able to eliminate, of course, four choices, you can mark the left out one. If still you are able to eliminate two or three choices, at the end, of course, you have to mark the answer for the GK questions, because there is no negative marking. So mandatorily attempt all 20 questions. And whether the GK score is important or not, do check out the complete video. So the best video, if I look over here, which you can look forward to, use for XAT 2026. Now let's come to the first section out here, that is your decision making. So this is the order also I've asked you to attempt. So what is crucial? Attempts. So I would suggest try attempt all the questions, no flukes for sure. Now, only in the scenario, let's say if you are stuck with all the five options, or maybe you are stuck with four options, you are able to rule out one of them, and you finding it difficult to eliminate further. In that case, only you can look forward to leave a problem. Otherwise, suggested is attempt all the questions out here, 21, which you have. Accuracy would play a vital role. Elimination approach would surely help you to push your accuracy. And of course, you are looking forward to attempt almost all the questions. So you have to take chance for the questions also. What I mean by that, I'll let you know. The first very critical point is please spend sufficient time. People don't give sufficient time to decision making. They don't give sufficient time to the verbal and logical ability section. They just spend complete time in the quant and DI, which is not the right approach for the XAT paper. So sufficient time, 45 minutes or maybe 50 minutes, if I look over here. So generally, most of the students would be able to do it within 45 minutes, the complete decision making. 5 minutes extra I have given, so that maybe if you feel that it's taking a little bit more time, and you're looking forward to attempt all the questions, so you can give that extra 5 minutes out here. But try not to overshoot 50-minute time limit which I have given you over here. Now you have to take chance if you're stuck with two or three options out here. There are two reasons to it. One, in the decision making, there is a lot of subjectivity, so it is very difficult to figure out one final answer in the decision making section. That same happens in the verbal and the logical ability section also. Secondly, the reason, if I look over here, is there is a 0.1 negative marking for unattempted questions. So if you get it wrong, it is 0.25. And if you leave it 0.1, of course, that is beyond 8 questions. And that is highly likely going to happen. Beyond 8 questions would be unattempted, because in total, we have 75. And I gave you one range also based on the XAT 2025. 52 to 58 would have been a good attempt, right? So you are definitely leaving much beyond that eight number which they have given, the unattempted, you don't have the penalty. So if you get it incorrect, I said 0.25, and if you leave it is 0.1 over here. So why I'm asking you to take the chance, because 0.1 would surely be look forward to be deducted from the overall score when you're leaving it unattempted. So if you get it incorrect also, the actual marks what you're losing out is 0.15. So that people don't realize that you're losing out 0.15 if you go for the chance over here, stuck with two or three options. Of course, one thing is very sure, that you are 100% sure that the answer is either of these two choices or maybe of three choices. If you are stuck with four choices or five choices, then please leave it altogether. So remember, these two reasons are important to take the chance, and then only you can look forward to attempt all the questions. Now, remember one thing over here, I mentioned that please try to focus definitely on the decision making, which is based completely on the logical reasoning, because you would have a lot of accuracy out here. So, in the DM attempts is not an issue. The major problem is of the accuracy. So, DM based on LR would definitely give a higher accuracy, and that is what you require also in the DM section. Now, this point, if I look over here, damn critical. Elimination is the key to score. So at times, out of the five choices, there are weird options also that, oh, what kind of option it is. This has to be straight away ruled out so that you can do it. Secondly, they ask you at times to arrange descending order of effectiveness you can have in the problem. Or maybe if I look over here, you know one thing that let's say there is a problem of that you have to take some course of actions to resolve the problem. So you know that maybe you're not very sure about that what course of action you should pick up from the statements given. But let's say there could be a one or two statements which you're very sure of that this should be the part of the course of action. Maybe you're not sure of the order in which they will come. So have a look of the options. It is very much possible that based on the limited options which are framed, right? You can look forward to eliminate the choices. Like what I mean is, like you are sure of that. Let's say there are five statements given to you, and you're very sure that 2 and 3 should be there for the course of action to resolve the problem. And you see the option that there are only two choices or maybe three choices which have that statements 2 as well as 3. So you can rule out the other options, you can eliminate the other options. So that has to be done. And let's say if you're sure that 2 and 3 has to be there and there is only one option where 2 and 3 is there, you are not sure of the order, but there was only just one option, you could have looked forward to mark the answer, right? So elimination is the key to score. And I'll just give one example in the DM you must have solved and you must have figured out. Remember always the planning is going to come post the discussion, right? So if you have one statement that discussion talks about, and the other is the planning stuff, and you feel that these two should be there. So one thing is very sure in the order, the discussion option would be before the planning. That is a very simple, basic, common sense also. That discussion has to happen before we make any plan. So remember that such kind of things, if you remember, it would be easy for you to eliminate and you can really do well in the DM section also. Now, let me come to the next section out here where we talk about the verbal and logical ability. Again, what I feel is attempts are crucial. Accuracy is definitely very important. Again, the elimination approach is going to work. You have to take chance over here also. And selection of RCs is damn critical. Again, the first very important point, please give sufficient time, either 50 or 55 minutes. I would suggest that start with the English usage where you have grammar, critical reasoning, parajumbles, fill in the blanks, cartoon, because the accuracy is pretty high in the usage part. Again, I would say take chance if you're stuck with two or three options. Subjectivity, and again, the reason is unattempted, there is negative marking. So if you are stuck with two or three options, I would just suggest that maybe you can spend 30 to 30 seconds to 60 seconds over there. And then finally, you take a call which option you're going to mark. Again, over here, elimination would be the key to score. Again, you can have weird options like in the cartoon problem. If I look over here, the options were not that difficult. If I look XAT 2025, so you can look forward to eliminate the weird options for sure. Now, if I talk about in the verbal and the logical ability section, the parajumbles, if I look over here, you need to look the logical order. So it may be possible that you're not able to get the complete order at one go, but you know that the first statement, let's say one example I picked up, should definitely be at the beginning, right? So make sure that have a look of the choices. You should be able to eliminate some of the choices because the start of that parajumble, if I look over here, in some of the option may not be with one, So those options you can rule out if you are damn sure that that statement one has to be at the beginning. So I've just picked up an example. So this would happen like when you read the statements that this should be the start of the parajumble when we are going to put the logical order. Secondly, mandatory pair. So look, when I talked about cat, I said the parajumble sequence one, you should do it at the end, right? Because you don't have choices to uh, look forward for the mandatory pair. So it would be difficult for you to get it correct and you would be spending time also. But in the XAT paper, you should definitely look forward to do the parajumbles, look forward for the mandatory pair. Again, look at the choices. It may be possible, let's say you feel that after three, statement two should come and there is one choice only. There can be more, but I'm just saying that please have a close look of the options for sure. Now remember, you can also look forward to eliminate based on the limited options frame. Now what I mean by this is like in the grammar, let's say you have five statements and they're talking about pick up the option which have only the uh, grammatically correct statements. Now you're not sure of all those five statements given, but you're sure of that, let's say, the second and the third statements, they are definitely grammatically correct, right? So again, look the options. It may be possible that there is only one option which has two and three. So you may be able to eliminate the other options. There is a possibility that, of course, you would have more options having two and three, but at least you can eliminate some option. So elimination is a key to score if I look in the verbal and the logical ability, and definitely the usage part where you have the maximum accuracy rate. So don't be worried about the cartoon. Always look forward to such question. And most important is to have a look of the option. That is very, very critical, right? Now, remember one thing, you have to smile and skip one or two RCs. So it depends from year to year. If you look, you can have like five RCs also, having three questions each, or you can have lesser RCs also, and not necessary that you have three questions, you can have two also. So please make sure that you can look forward to when you're spending either 50 minutes or 55 minutes. Try skip one or two RCs. And what is the basis of skipping? That it is lengthy, difficult to comprehend, difficult options are there to eliminate. Make sure that there is section link. So do use it so that you can have a look of the RCs and then you can pick up the RCs which you want to do. So nothing to worry about if you are smiling and skipping one or two RCs out of that in the initial 50 minutes or 50 minutes. Reason is very simple that it could be time taking, difficult, right? Suggested is poems to be done at the last. The reason being not much return if I look respect to the time invested. So it is very difficult maybe to get both correct. Generally, students get one correct, one incorrect, but the time invested would be good enough in the poems. So students who are damn comfortable with the poems or they're from the literature background, they may look forward to do it before also. But for most of the XAT aspirants, I will suggest that try avoid this. And you actually did not prepare for poems, especially when you prepared for CAT. So it's a completely new stuff also if I look over here in the XAT paper. So if you look forward that the poem is much easier to understand and the problems are also easy, you may go for it. But suggested is that try to do it at the last. The reason I've already written over here. Do join the CAT 2M information group, CAT 2M discussion group. Now let's come to the DI and QA section. Make sure that you reach till the last question. So there are 28 questions out here, and I suggested the order that this should be the third section to do. Selection of questions would be damn critical. Selection of sets would be damn critical. Make sure that you give sufficient time so that you can clear the cutoff in the DI and the QA also. Now remember that now there would be students who may not be that good in the QA part. Nothing to worry about, right? So if you are not good in the QA, you can look forward to start with DI. So they may give you maybe 4 sets, and every set has 3 questions. There could be 3 sets also. 3 questions are there on each of the set. So you may pick up the easy ones and you can do it. So start with DI first, who are weak in the QA. And once you're done with the DI, whatever you could have done, the easy ones, then you may try to look for the easy QA questions, which are very direct. You could do with the common sense, or maybe you could do with some trick shortcut also. You can use the section link to select those direct quick QA questions which are there in the exact paper. And if your area of quant is much stronger than the DI, then of course people would look forward to do first the QA stuff, and then they can look forward to do the DI. So don't leave DI altogether. Don't leave QA altogether. You would have something to be done in the DI, something to be done in the QA, whatever your level is, right? Remember one thing over here, smile and skip 1 or 2 DI sets. You can do it in the exact paper in the 55 minutes, which I've suggested over here. Reason is again, lengthy, it is difficult to comprehend, or time taking options you have, right? So maybe you're able to understand the set, the DI one, but the options are designed difficulty that you have to check the options one by one, and it is taking a lot of time, right? So use the section link to again pick up the easy DI sets. And students who are weak in QA, they can also use the section link so that you can pick up the direct ones, the straightforward ones in the QA section. Remember that smile and skip the difficult time-taking QA questions. You are not there to do all the QA questions. Maybe you are very good at QA, but that is not the objective, right? Remember that don't rush through, give sufficient time to solve QA questions. It is not a speed game at all. It's a test of concepts. So if you look, I said the range 15 to 17 is a good attempt. If I look over here, the XAT paper, the last year 2025. So if you try spend like 55 minutes, right? Uh, and one more thing, if I look forward over here, is the buffer time also, right? Anna? So let's see where you're going to spend the buffer time. So I'm just trying to say that if you are looking in the range of 15 to 17, of course, good students are going to do that. So if you look in that case, you on an average, you have somewhere close to 4 minutes to do a QA question. So it's definitely not a speed game. It's a test of concept. So give sufficient time. And it's not like that you keep trying the QA question. If it is too much time taking, please leave it in the first 55 minutes, which I have written over here, right? Which you're spending for the DI and the QA. Now, this buffer time is damn important. People don't keep the buffer time. So the strategy which I told you, either you would be left out with 10 minutes or maybe 15 or 20 minutes. So what you can do is you can spend this buffer time either with the QA and the DI section, where people who are good at DI, they can look forward to solve a DI set which they would have left in the initial 55 minutes for the DI and QA. Or maybe if you're good at quant and you feel that it was a time taking problem, now I would be spending over here the buffer time. Or people who feel that they can look forward to do one RC in that buffer time because they left out because of the time, and it was slightly on a difficult side. But if you give time, you can look forward to score. So you can spend the time with the verbal and logical ability section, where you can look forward to do the RC stuff. That's the recommendation which you left out in the initial time spent with the verbal and the logical ability section. The idea is simple, that you have to maximize your overall score. Why? Because just meeting the sectional cutoffs will not give you a call from XLRI. They do have the overall cutoff also, so you have to meet that as well. So let's come to the last part of the session. So you can have a look over here, the XLRI BM program interview cutoffs for 2025, the percentiles. So a female non-engineer definitely have the advantage. So if you look, just picking up one of the stream and the gender out here. So if you get 91 or more, that was the overall cutoff. 82 or more, if you get that was the QA cutoff, and for VLR greater than equal to 80, for DM greater than equal to 80. Now, when you come to the HRM program, if you look again, the non-NG female I picked up. So the overall was much less, 87 percentile or more. If you have, you clear the overall cutoff. And look at the section wise for the QA, it was just 68 percentile, right? So 68, 85, and 80 out here. Just to give you an idea about the scores also. So this is at 2025 scorecard. So in the Q and DI, if the score, if you calculate, right, this percentage you calculate in the terms of score, somewhere around 6.5 it would be. So the percentile was around 75, right? So a safe score, I said 8 would have been there for all the stream and the gender category. If I look over here, so 8 should have been the safe score. Now, when you come to the VLR, 54 percentage converted to score would be somewhere around 14 marks, but that is giving you around 98 percentile. But if you look the cutoffs for the VLR, the highest was for non-engineer female and sorry, non-engineer male and engineer male, right? So that was the highest for the HRM basically. So what they have done is that giving more preference to the female candidates, keeping the VLR on the higher side for both engineer, non-engineer, male out here, right? So even if you look at 90 percentile, maybe a score of 10 should be uh, giving you this percentile. So double digit score in the VLR, double digit score in the DM should be safe to get the call based on the XAT 2025 score I'm talking about. It depends on the difficulty level also. It can go higher, it can go low also. Again, based on the difficulty level. When you come to the DM, this would be around converted into marks would be 9.5, giving you 82 percentile. And if you look overall around 30 marks, giving you close to 94 percentile. So I said 33 would have been a safe score. If I look the category where you have the highest overall cutoff, engineer male 96, engineer non-engineer male also 96. So that was the highest section, overall uh, cutoff rate. So remember that as I talked about, is GK score important? So the GK score would be considered only at the time of XLRI interview, and they give certain weightage over there. So you can see 50%, which means 10 correct out of 20, no negative marking, fetched you around 78 percentile. So make sure that you do attempt all 20 questions. And the GK score, if I look, if you're not being able to score much also, if you get a lesser percentile also, I don't see that it is a hindrance to get into XLRA, because one of my student is into XLRA Delhi and he scored pretty less percentile in the GK. But if you score on the high side, of course, there is some weightage. It's easier if I look over here to get marks, whatever assigned in the GK if the percentile is on the higher side. But nothing to worry about much in terms of whether you will be able to convert or not. So yes, you can convert the XLRA call in spite of having a low score in the GK. So do join the CAT 2M information group, do join the CAT 2M discussion group. And I'm pretty sure that if you follow the entire strategy which we have talked about in this video, it's a ticket to XLRI, right? So all the best for XAT 2026 with best wishes, CAT 2M, not just an educator, but a mentor. Do subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you do like, comment, and once you write the XAT paper on 4th January 2026, come back and comment that how much the strategy has helped you write. Thank you so much.